went to the Bloomsbury and had some tea?
We did.
They didn't have any iced sweet tea.
No.
They only had it in them pots, but it was okay.
And we they didn't have the possum sandwiches. No.
And they was out of squirrel too, so I don't know if I recommend it.
Okay, moving on. Moving on.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our podcast, Wandering Works for Us. We are Shelley and Beth, a married couple living in Portugal and traveling the world. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast, Wandering Works for Us. I'm Shelley.
And I'm Beth.
And we just got back from a trip to London.
It was so fun.
It was so fun. We went to see our niece, Katey. Hi, Katey.
Hi, Katey.
Because she is in college, getting her graduate degree at King's College in London. And so, you know, we used it as an excuse to go to London.
That's right. And we got
as if we needed an excuse to go to London.
That's right.
But yes.
We got to spend time with her, and she acted some as our tour guide and suggested places to eat. And she does ballroom dancing.
Yes.
And we got to go to her winter showcase.
Yeah, it was very cool.
It was really fun.
That was a highlight. But, you know, that wasn't as big a deal as everything else we'll talk about, but it was a highlight for us.
Yes,
So.
it was. Yeah. Indeed.
So, Beth, what did we do while we were in London?
Heavens. We did a lot.
We did not follow our own rules. We decided we were going to see everything.
Well, not everything, but we did a lot. I don't know if we were just like still in motion from Amsterdam because it had only been, I don't know, what, 2 weeks?
No,
it was a week. and we just sort of hit the ground running. I'm not quite sure what happened, but we did a lot.
We did.
It was partially also because Katey was, you know, touring us around, and that kind of kept us going.
Yes.
Yeah. But it was really good. And one of the things that we did is we saw Christmas markets.
Oh, yes, because that was our, 1st of December trip.
Yes.
Last year we went to Zagreb and did the Christmas markets there.
We did.
And we absolutely love Zagreb.
We did.
If you're interested in Croatia, you should totally go back and listen to that podcast.
Yes.
But we loved it. So, of course, I think we might be on a tradition now of Christmas marketing in December.
Well, I think it's a fine tradition.
It is, except I now have opinions of Christmas markets.
Yeah, me too. If we can, the next Christmas market we go to, I would like for it to be one of the old traditional ones that people rave about and have Facebook groups about and all of that, to see if it's different than the Christmas markets we have been to so far.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. And I think what we're talking about is they're all kind of the same. You know,
they are.
It's cute huts that are decorated for Christmas, and there's crafts and gifts that you can buy, but a lot of it is kind of the same stuff over and over again. And there are, of course, places to get food and glühwein, which
that's the best part.
which, that hot mulled wine we like. I don't know. It's decorated. Christmas music is playing. It's really cool, but they're all the same.
Yeah, it's very fun and festive. And if you really like what I guess we would call it fair food, or maybe street food, but it's it's sort of kind of junk food where you get a cotton candy and fudge and popcorn.
Oh, popcorn.
And, the kind of junk food kind of stuff that you can get.
Yeah.
At
you can eat a sandwich and all that, but
in some cases it depends on which one you get to.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we go in and get a glühwein and then just walk around and see all the stuff. And it's all, like you said, it's kind of mostly the same stuff. Now, London did have a few different items in their markets. Like there was a whole shed that sold nothing but maps, and that was kind of cool.
That was cool.
And then, they had some more clothing and bag options that we didn't see in Zagreb. We saw a lot of Christmas trinkets and things in Zagreb. And then here, about the same. It's kind of junk food and Christmas trinkets. For the most part, it's all like Christmas decorations and cute little things that, cost twice as much as what you would find in the store.
Yeah, exactly.
But you get the joy of being in the Christmas market to buy it.
And it's not that it's not fun. It is fun, but we've been to a few of them and we kind of go, okay, well, this is cool, but it's the same. We don't have to, spend a ton of time here. But what I think is that if we go to one of the bigger ones in Germany or one of the bigger ones over on the east side of France or Switzerland, maybe. I'm not sure. Some of those bigger ones, Vienna, I think maybe they're going to have a lot more kind of handcrafted things and less mass-produced things.
Maybe that's it.
That's what I think. So we're going to try to hit one of those next. It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
And I did find hot gin again, and that was cool.
That's always fun.
I loved that in Zagreb.
Yeah.
Oh, and one of them had a really cool thing we hadn't seen before, where we got to roast marshmallows.
Oh, yeah, that was nice.
They had like a fire pit
cute.
built and a fire going, and you could buy 2 giant marshmallows on a stick and just poke them over the fire and do what you want to. It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some good pictures.
It was nice to stand by the fire because it was cold in London.
It was cold. I don't think it was as cold as Zagreb, though. Do you?
Yes.
Oh, you do?
Well, in Zagreb, I wore more clothes.
Yeah, I did too.
Than I did in London. So I would say that it was as cold as Zagreb.
No, I don't either. I think I would have been freezing because I didn't have on a lot of layers. And it's really cool because beyond the Christmas markets in London, everything is decorated in the main part of town. It's just, there's so many lights on the streets.
Now that is very cool.
And every section, if you will, area has a different look about their lights. A lot of the store windows are really decorated. And like I said, just Christmas everywhere. It was really...
Yes, because even if you go into a pub, just a little tiny pub to try to have a beer, that whole place is decorated. So
yeah.
London was giving Christmas.
As our niece
Katie
would say.
It's giving Christmas.
Yeah. We went on a lights tour in an open-top bus.
We did.
And...
meh.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything really new or... I'll be honest, it was kind of boring.
Yeah.
And, okay, so you're going to do it in an open top bus, and you want to make sure you get a good seat if you want to take pictures.
Right.
But getting a good seat also means that, A, you got to get there first, because apparently getting these seats is like, you might have to put up a fight.
I know.
And
it was a little competitive.
We got up there and sat down and then got fussed at because we took someone's seats and we didn't know.
Yeah.
And the second thing is we were on the inside. We weren't in the open top, which was nice because we were warmer.
But
if you're
really
sitting
cold
out,
that night.
Yeah, you're going to either get rained on or it might get cold. And so that is a tour. I don't think I'd ever do it again. I think I said I'd give it 3 stars.
Yeah, it was. We heard some good history. Our guy talked the whole time. It wasn't just...
We did have a tour guide.
It just wasn't
a
like one of the
thing.
red buses where you plug in and you hear the canned stuff. It was somebody actually talking to us. He had a mic that you could really hear him. And so that was kind of cool. And if you weren't going to then turn around and for the next 4 or 5 days walk all over the city and see the lights walking, or if you weren't physically able to do that, it might be a cool thing to do. We then proceeded to see all those decorations again when we were walking around. Yeah, and going to the markets and doing different things. So I don't know. We kind of felt like it was just...
And it took us to all the major neighborhoods around.
It did.
And tell you where you were. So I got oriented to the city in the dark because, the sun sets at 4. So you got to know where you're going in the dark. Other than that, yeah, we saw most of it just walking around.
Yeah.
And there's so much to see. There's so much Christmas to see.
There's a lot.
So-
And some of it you really can't see from the bus, like close up to the shop windows or, that kind of thing. So I guess we wouldn't do it again, but if there was a specific reason for you to do it, it was certainly fine.
We're not really recommending this.
No,
tour.
we're not. We really aren't, are we? They had ice rinks. They have 2 ice rinks, I think, in London. We only actually went to one of them, and it was huge.
We didn't go to Hyde Park and see that big giant Winter Wonderland thing.
Yeah.
But we saw what was in the other parts of London.
Yeah.
And there was a big ice rink.
We didn't go to Hyde Park because it's called Winter Wonderland, and it's more like, as we were talking about earlier, it's more like a fair. There's rides, there's the fair, not the Eye, but a different Ferris wheel, that kind of thing. And we just weren't really interested in it, so we did other things instead. We also went to Fortnam and Mason. Specifically, I wanted to see their windows because I had read that they were really good. And they were good. The whole building, if you can step back and look at it, they had their windows numbered. So it was like an advent calendar, and they lit up a light in the window of whatever day it was. And that was really clever. But then we went into Fortnam and Mason because I had actually never been in one before. And
I never want to go back again.
My heavens.
Oh, no. That was a fire hazard is what that was.
Well, it wouldn't be like that, away from Christmas
I don't know,
and summer.
Man.
I
It's
think
a very famous place to shop.
I think
But it was a fire hazard.
there were so many people crammed in there, you literally could not move.
No.
It was crazy. And if I had to work in that, I think I would I don't know, I'd have to drink or something because, wow. It was very claustrophobic to me. We went in, we kind of,
We did one big circle on the one floor.
yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, no, I cannot manage my way through this.
Yeah, we're
I'll
out.
be throwing some people over the side.
Yeah.
No.
And
It'd be
I'm
bad.
talking it was so crowded that you were always touching somebody else. It's kind of
Always.
so crowded.
Yes.
Yeah, it was madness. Anyway, so do that with
Don't do that.
do that if you do that if you must, but make sure you've got your money secure and all that kind of thing.
Well, we've told people what they shouldn't do.
We have.
Is
Now-
there anything that we should do while we're in London?
Yes. You should definitely do a tour for changing of the guard.
Yes. Now, you don't have to do a tour because it's not a paid event. If you show up at the right times, you can see it happening.
That's right.
But the plus of having a guide there is you get to see things that you may not know. Well, first of all, they're going to explain what's going on. And then you may see things that you weren't expecting to see.
They take you to different vantage points for the changing of the guard. And so you see the guard that is coming in to the palace to take over. And then later you see the guard that's coming back out of the palace. So you see it from different vantage points. You walk along about 5-block thing. You get an explanation. They tell you all about who the guard is that day because it changes, or who it is at that moment. It was a little different because the emir and his wife from Qatar, the emir and his wife had visited the day before and done, an official state visit. And so things were kind of out of place because they had done all these special things. So the guards were different, but not any less cool. It was really cool to see all the horses and all that. Now, but what we didn't expect, and we got to see it because our tour guide knew exactly what the signs were of something happening and rushed us over to stand on the edge where we were in front, and we saw King Charles.
That was pretty cool
That was cool.
and unexpected.
Yeah, he was going to Buckingham Palace, and he was coming from Clarence House. And yes, he goes in a car, even though you can see one from the other if you look down the street. For security reasons, obviously, he goes in his car. He is a very friendly king, as she explained, and he just waved and smiled. And I was so thrilled, I just about, I don't know, fainted. It was so cool. I never expected to see him. You can go for years living in London and never see them. And so we got to see him. And then we went on down. We saw the rest of the changing of the guard. And Shelley and I are walking back up toward Clarence House to, do the next thing. And we recognized the signs of something happening because our tour guide had told us about it. And we saw Queen Camilla.
So it was a big day.
It was a big day for me.
For Beth because she's a royalist. I, have different views about that, but it was cool, kind of cool to see somebody famous wave at you, as you know.
Yeah. I thought it was very cool. So I got to see that and loved it.
Yeah, that was really a highlight.
Yeah.
Not the highlight, but a highlight.
Yes. What else did we do, Shelley?
Well, the other thing we did is we took a tour of the Tower of London and Tower Bridge, which is not the same as London Bridge, apparently.
Correct.
And you can, when you get a ticket for the Tower of London, you can get a free tour by one of the yeomen there. I hope I said that right.
Yeoman, I think.
One of the yeomen there. And it takes about an hour, I think, for him to walk us around and tell us different stories about the tower. We were kind of running a little late that day. We had to go get something to eat and then get Katey back because I believe she was dancing that night, or there was something going on that we had to get out kind of early. But we did get to see the crown jewels.
We did.
I'm going to give that a 4-star rating on that one.
For a lot of people, just seeing some of the Koh-i-Noor diamonds
there's some pretty stones in there.
Would be like the entire highlight of their trip. It's not your thing so much, these individual stones, but it's not like all of their stuff that they wear when they go to formal dinners and stuff is on display. It's more about the ceremony.
The crowns and the ceremonial stuff. And so when King Charles was coronated, he had the orb and the scepter, and those things were on display. So you got to see that, and you got to see his crown, I believe, too, the one that he wore in the ceremony.
Yeah, he wore several, and they were all in there.
Okay, so we got to see all of those. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But, anything else that were just general, I guess, party dress or somewhere else.
Yeah, that wasn't there.
And you can't take pictures inside there at all. You have to just enjoy the moment.
Just enjoy it, which imagine that.
Imagine.
Yeah, which is what happened when King Charles came by. I was so fixated on just seeing him and really looking at him because he was very close to us and just waving and, and the experience that I didn't even take a picture.
I did get slow-mo video that you can see on our social media pages, but you can't really make him out because there's a glare on the windows. So you can just kind of see the pretty car go by.
But
it was cool.
You could really see him.
We saw him. So
you could really see him, though. Really see him clearly when you were just standing there looking.
And then we went up on Tower Bridge.
Yes.
Well, and we walked across it, basically. You can take an elevator or stairs and go up to the top and get a good view of the city. But we didn't do that. We wanted to go down because we wanted to go to the George that day. That's where we were headed.
Yes, we were.
Okay, but we walked across Tower Bridge, and that was really cool.
Yeah, I think it's very pretty.
It's a beautiful bridge.
Yeah,
and it's the iconic, with the 2 pillar in the middle.
I think it's a very pretty bridge. Yeah. Other sites or places or things that we saw, we went to the British Museum.
I got to see the Rosetta Stone.
Oh, Shelley was so excited.
See, she got to see King Charles. I was like, Rosetta Stone.
Yeah. The British Museum was very cool.
That I would go back to. It was one of the last days that we were there. I was tired and cranky, and there were a lot of people.
Yeah.
And if we had more energy and more time, I would have spent more time in the museum exploring because they have a great collection of ancient artifacts from Mesopotamia and Egypt and Greece and Rome. And I got to see the stuff from Mesopotamia and some from Egypt. I got to see a little piece of a Book of the Dead, and then I got to see the statues that were taken from the Parthenon.
Oh, yes.
And put in that room. So, as you may or may not know, the majority of the stuff in the British Museum is kind of stolen.
Yeah.
As the British, have done their thing, and they're just collecting objects left and right.
Yes, indeed.
But that I got to see that. So I've seen the Parthenon, and now I've seen what was supposed to be inside the Parthenon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then as we were walking back out, there's all these people crowded around this one object, and I looked at the sign and went, oh, we got to see that. And it was the stone.
It was the
very
Rosetta
cool.
Stone. Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah.
And that was the highlight. That was it. Woo!
And there was art in there that we didn't see. There was, it definitely needs a second and maybe even
That's a full day.
Yeah.
Because we weren't
maybe
even
a third.
planning. We were planning to go in the afternoon. I think our tickets were for like 1:00 in the afternoon or something.
Yeah.
So most of the museums in London are free, from what we understand.
Yeah.
There may be a few of them there that you have to pay
That
to
are
go
private
into.
or something.
Yeah.
But the ones that are owned by England,
Yeah, are free.
so to speak.
But you do have to reserve your tickets.
Right.
You can't just walk. Well, apparently you can walk in depending on what day it is or whatever. But when we were there, it was really busy. We had to reserve our tickets.
Yeah.
Because they would not let us through the line without buying tickets in advance.
Right.
Or we didn't buy them. They were free. Anyway.
Yes, exactly.
So anytime you get a chance to go to a museum in London, check them out if they're free. I mean, come on. We've spent a great deal of money getting into museums all over the world. So.
Yes, we have. And there are, 4 or 5 museums in London I would love to go to, art museums and things that I've never been to. So we'll start doing those little by little when we go back to London. And we also, of course, saw what everybody calls Big Ben.
We were right next to Big Ben.
We were.
Sleeping right next to Big Ben.
We were staying right there in Westminster. And Big Ben is the tower with the clock is commonly called that. Big Ben is actually the name of one of the bells that rings in the tower.
What's the tower called?
The Queen's Tower?
The Queen's Tower.
Yeah. I was just thinking, oh God, what's it called? Yeah, the Queen's Tower. We saw that. We saw Scotland Yard. Well, the outside of it. We saw the Eye, the big old the big huge Ferris wheel.
It's 25 years old.
Huh? And I wouldn't go up in it for, love or money, but it's okay.
Chicken.
Totally. We saw St. James Park. We walked through it. Yeah, a couple of times. And who knew they have pelicans in St. James Park? I did not know that. Never expected to see pelicans in cold, rainy weather. But they have them, and they're my favorite seabird. So I was quite thrilled with that. And
it's a little thing.
It is, man.
It's prizes.
And we also went into the Royal Opera House.
Yeah, we walked around in there. Katey took us up through there.
Yeah.
Because we went through Covent Garden. And it's a great shopping area. Probably expensive because we didn't really go into any of the stores. But it's a beautiful area with restaurants and shopping. And then as we went through, you could take the escalator up and go up and see some of the costumes on display and see a view of the city up there. It's really nice.
Yeah, it was. And in the summer, I think it gets really crowded up there. People go up there and have drinks and sit outside and all of that. Obviously, we weren't sitting outside for any of that.
No, it was too cold.
It was indeed. One of the highlights for me was the night before we left, I think. We went to Westminster Abbey for their evensong service.
Yeah.
So I got to see, or hear rather, the choir. I got to hear the organ. I got to see the inside of Westminster Abbey. I will definitely go and do a full-blown just tour to see it all because we weren't allowed to take pictures and all that. We were there just the night after that Catherine, the Princess of Wales, she hosts this Christmas carol service called Together at Christmas every year. And I think this was the 4th or the 5th year for it. And she invites all these people that have volunteers and people who have been doing good all over the UK to come and be able to be at this service. And so that was the night after. So some of the decorations were still in there. And I don't know. I loved it. And oh, is it a beautiful abbey.
It is an amazing church, yes.
It is incredible. So I really look forward to going back to that.
It was neat to see the inside of a place that you've only seen on TV, and really regal ceremonies like weddings and coronations and things, to be able to go in. The abbey itself is in the shape of a cross. So when you go into the door, you're going in at the bottom of the cross, and then you go in, and then they have chairs across the cross part up at the top. And so we were sitting in the cross part, but they also had television screens set up so that you can see the choir performing, you could see who was conducting the service, and then you could see the priest.
Mm-hmm.
Is the Abbey a Church of England kind of thing?
It's Church of England. Okay. So I think they're
I don't know what the formal
bishops. No.
Yeah.
Okay,
we're know what the formal.
We're going to have to look that up.
way that you would call the priest, I guess. But he was conducting the ceremony, and so we could sit there and see that. And then, of course, I'm not very religious, so it was interesting to participate in the ceremony, but at the same time I'm sitting there and I'm looking around and I'm like, there are graves of famous authors like right beside me and over here, and I'm like looking at all the statues and my head's just turning around and everybody is praying, and I'm like, look at that.
Yeah.
And so we probably should have taken a tour before.
And then gone to Evensong.
Yes, I wouldn't have been so excited. But, it was a neat way to see the Abbey and to really experience what it's for.
Well, and hear the choir.
Yeah, I suppose. I'm not big on choir music. That was something you really enjoyed.
So, and those... And of course, it's children with incredibly high voices, all the way up to, men that are singing the bass parts. And it was just rather magical to me to hear them. I'd love to be there when they're doing carols and get to hear some of that. We also ate a lot.
We did.
And we went to some great pubs.
We did. We did not plan our meals out probably as we should, because I'm going to go ahead and say, if you're going to visit England, London at any time, book a table. Make some reservations in advance, especially if there's certain restaurants that you want to visit. We've been trying to get into this one Indian restaurant, and both in Edinburgh and in London, and we've yet to do it because they're always booked because we don't book in advance.
Yes.
So
it's on the list for next time.
Advance. Also know that the pubs in London are fantastic. I enjoyed them.
I did too.
They're small. They're cozy. They got a great selection of beer, no matter which one you go into, but they are always packed.
Yes.
Always. Like, maybe not first thing in the morning because they're not open, but because like some of them don't open till lunch or so. But once they're open for lunch, everybody is in there. It's the thing to do, and they're standing around and they're having a pint and they're enjoying each other, and that is great. Except when you want to eat, you need to move some people out of the way.
Yeah, so you can sit.
The other thing, though, is it's pub food. It's not the best cuisine in the world, so you're always going to have fish and chips, a burger, or a steak and ale pie.
Yeah.
Highly recommend the steak and ale pie.
Yeah, and, the quality of the food definitely depends on what pub you're in. Some of them are better than others, or, just like a cafe here. We went to the George...
We went to the George Inn.
Yeah, there we go.
That's kind of what it's called.
It's hard.
It's the oldest pub, I think, or one of the oldest pubs in London.
It is where Shakespeare went and hung out when he was writing his plays, and he had people perform them so that he could see what they would be like when they were being performed.
That's really cool.
I mean... Shakespeare people.
Yeah, that
So-
was that was neat to sit, in that bar, have a beer and a steak and ale pie, and hang out, and then be able to walk through the courtyard.
Yeah,
and
and
of course it was decorated for Christmas. It was beautiful,
yeah, that
cobblestones. It felt old back in there too. It was
and
nice.
it is an actual inn. You can stay there. I imagine that it is quite expensive, but you can stay there. We also went to the Blackfriars pub, which was really cool.
That was neat too.
Another one of the old historic pubs. And
Well, this one actually, the building itself is from the 1800s, so I don't think it's old, but it kind of represents a very old part of London, because the Blackfriars was a pretty hopping place in the 1500s,
Yeah.
15 to 1600s. But now it's more like, it's not really industrial. There's a lot of apartment complexes and kind of things around. And it's easy to get to. I mean,
Very.
you pop off the metro and the pub is right there.
yeah,
But it's this Art Nouveau, or did I get it right?
very good.
Go me! It was Art Nouveau architecture on the outside.
And it's
It was so cool.
It's a flat iron building, so it's triangular shaped.
Yeah. And it is cozy in there too. And if you want to have dinner or lunch or whatever, make a reservation.
Yes.
Because we did make a reservation, but we missed it because we were running late. And so,
Yeah.
next time maybe we'll eat. We had some fries, I think,
Yeah.
and several beers.
Yeah.
And
Which
went
was
home.
great.
It was
and
perfect.
And then took lots of pictures and
Yes.
yeah, and a lot of these places will have real fires, burning in the pub.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was really fun hanging out in them. We went in many more than that, but those were two of the real old historic ones that we were in. We also went to a really cool cocktail bar.
Yeah, Cahoots was pretty cool.
Yeah. We went to the one, there's more than one in London. We went to the one that's in Soho. I think it's the original one. I'm not positive about that, but I think it's the original one. And it is you go downstairs, to get to it. It's underneath a building.
I think it used to be an old, underground station.
Ah, that's right.
That's kind of what it looked like under
Yeah.
there. With
They
the
have a-
tile work, and they had a car.
Yeah, they had an actual train car
Yeah.
in there. And it is themed as if World War II has just ended and everybody's celebrating and partying. And, it was just
It was
really
neat.
fun.
Yeah. Make a reservation, though, so you don't have to stand in line too long. Like I said, I'm going to give you that advice through this whole thing.
Yeah.
Make a reservation.
Yeah.
Because we did not have one for that. We just thought, it's a bar. You can walk in. That's
Yeah.
not apparently true in
We
all
ended up
places.
standing behind a velvet rope
We
waiting,
did.
which was the first time that it ever happened to me because, I'm not very cool. But I was kind of thrilled. I was standing in line behind a velvet rope.
And then the guy was trying to kind of sneak us in, and he did get us into a table. We were there maybe an hour before they were like, you're gonna have to leave by this time,
Yeah.
because there's somebody else has a reservation on the table.
Yeah. So,
And that was fine. We got to experience it, but if you want to stay longer, make a reservation.
and they have really cool themed drinks,
That are
cocktails.
expensive, but yes.
Well, they are. The whole experience was just fun. And that was recommended to us by a friend. We're just really glad that we checked that out. I got to do something special for my birthday.
Yes, it was Beth's birthday while we were there.
It was.
Happy birthday, Beth.
Thank you. And
And you wanted to go to afternoon tea.
I did for my birthday. And at this time of year, they do what they call festive tea. It's really not that different than regular, but everything is decorated. It was really pretty where we sat and had our little sandwiches with the crusts cut off and our sweets and lots of good tea.
Lots of good tea, and we had good conversation. We were there for like 3 hours.
We were. It was fun.
It was a long tea, but it was nice. And it was enough food that you don't want dinner after that.
Yeah, we were quite full.
Yeah.
And a word about cost of teas. I had looked at the famous ones. So the famous hotels, Fortnam and Mason, some of those, the Ritz, you see them on Instagram all the time, that kind of thing. And they are very expensive. So I found an article that someone had written, or a blog post, that said, here, I live in London and here are 10 great teas that won't cost you an arm and a leg. And I picked one of those, and it was at a place called Dalloway Terrace, and it's actually part of Bloomsbury.
Mm-hmm. That's better. Bloomsbury, not Bury.
Well, Bury, though.
But, honey, it's not like it's in Tennessee.
Okay. Okay. Bloomsbury, with my pinky out, hotel. So
we went to the Bloomsbury and had some tea.
We did.
They didn't have any iced sweet tea.
No.
They only had it in them pots, but it was okay.
And we they didn't have the possum sandwiches. No.
And they was out of squirrel too, so I don't know if I recommend it.
Okay, moving on. Moving on. This tea was really lovely. It was fancy, and it did not cost us an arm and a leg, just an arm.
Or a possum.
Yeah, or a possum. Good heavens. But we highly recommend doing that if you're interested, because it was fun. It was special.
High tea was very fun.
Yeah.
Things that we would do when we go back that we didn't do this time. I think number one is we will find a show to go do.
Yes.
I should have realized, but I didn't think, about all the things that we were going to do in London, because we were there to see Katey. And so I was thinking, we'd spend a lot of time with her, but to go see a Broadway or London.
A West End.
It's
called West End there.
A West End show would be excellent.
It would be.
We even saw that David Tennant was playing at one of the small theaters, and we checked out prices, and of course they were way £250 a person.
Yeah, but that was also last minute.
David Tennant, so we didn't go see that, but I think we would plan to do that in advance.
We would
next time.
Yeah, there were lots of them that would be fun. There's lots of museums that we haven't been to, like the National Museum at Trafalgar Square.
Yeah. We go check that out.
Go see that.
Display of Van Gogh while we were there.
They did.
But seeing as how we'd already seen a lot of Van Goghs in Amsterdam, I was like, nah, I don't need to see that.
Yeah. So, I mean, we were only there 5 days. So, yes. But there was more that we would do next time. I think it's like Paris. I think you can go 10 times and still have things to do that you haven't done.
I think we should also go back to St. Paul's.
Yes.
And see that.
Yes. I've seen it before, but it's been years, and Shelley has not seen it. So we would
go back to
go there.
See St. Paul's, take a tour of the Abbey.
Yep. Westminster Abbey.
And probably just spend more time hanging out, exploring the city. It was very walkable. Transportation is not as good as Amsterdam, but it's also a bigger city, and there's a lot more going on. But we took the bus to most places, had no trouble, because you can use your bank card to pop in and out of the buses. The same for the metro.
Right. And their bus system is so good.
Well, some people have different opinions about that. We didn't have too many issues with the buses. There was one that we were supposed to catch, and it just kind of never showed up. Something happened. And Katey said that does on occasion happen. It's, not always reliable. Or you'll be on the bus and it's supposed to be going to one place, but then they change stations or something in the middle of it. So you have to get off and get on another bus. But we didn't have any problems getting anywhere on time.
Yeah. And we took an Uber occasionally.
We took an Uber twice.
They have, on the Thames, they have an Uber boat.
Yes,
that was the first time I'd ever
boat to go somewhere.
That's the first time I'd ever seen that boat that is an Uber, so you can.
They should have one of those in Amsterdam.
Yeah, really. So you pull it up on your phone and you can opt for the boat option and travel that way. One of the other things that we want to do next time is see King's Cross Station and see platform 9 3/4.
Or go to the Harry Potter thing.
And maybe go to the Harry Potter
studios.
Now
we have a whole list of things that we want to do that we didn't do this time.
Yeah.
But
So,
even though we were only there for 5 days, I think, we filled our days up. By the end
did.
of it, we were exhausted and ready to come back home.
yeah, but it was great. I
Yes.
highly recommend it.
Loved the first trip to London. Loved it.
We found a hotel that was, relatively speaking, reasonably priced. And I'm sure Shelley will have that
It's in the blog
linked
post.
in the blog post.
Yep.
And it is possible with some planning to not spend a complete fortune while you are in London, because you always hear how expensive it is, just like Paris, and it is. It's
I
not.
would say not much more expensive than the United States right now.
Oh no, I don't think so.
No.
That didn't used to be true, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was expensive in the U.S. when
Yeah.
we went back.
So I think that's it for London.
I think it is.
And so I'm going to go ahead and wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'm not sure we're going to get another podcast out before the new year because I have no idea what we talk about unless we did a year in review or whatever, but we haven't planned that yet, and it's a week before Christmas, so
Yeah,
that's iffy.
it is iffy because we got a lot to do.
Yes.
So yeah, we've been going to see some of the Christmas decorations around here. That's been
And just
really
yeah.
nice. Yeah, just really enjoying it. So happy holidays, everyone. Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, whatever it is you celebrate.
Happy all the holidays.
We hope that they are kind and peaceful and as much as they can be. And we will talk to you soon.
Probably next year.
Yeah.
Woohoo! So Happy New Year. All right. And with that, I guess I will say Boa Noite.
Boa noite.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. If you would like to reach out to us or ask questions, you can find us on our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You can also follow us at our website, www.forus.com. That's www.forus.com. Hope to hear from you soon. Obrigada!